I don't know what my hair is doing today. It's on its own schedule. Like, let's see how stupid we can make you look. So I don't know what this is. It kind of looks like I have like a weird mullet going on with my hair, but whatever. So today's story is going to be one of the most embarrassing ones I have ever told because it's like, ew. No, just kidding. But I value you guys' opinion because I do recognize a lot of you from years that you guys have been hearing, you know, me talking about my stupid life. So I kind of want to know what you guys think of this, and I'm sorry if I'm breathing so hard. I don't know what's wrong. Moving is too much work. So the majority of you guys voted that the best thing to call this is soulmate or obsession. And you guys can decide which one of these it is. I don't know, it's just like embarrassing, but like it's not like he will see this basically ever, and if he does, I have to crawl under a rock and just rot in there. But I want to see what you guys think, and the story's really long, so I'm sorry if it takes a while. By the way, whoever voted for like no more love related story times, I'm sorry, you don't have to watch this, it's fine. Don't answer this FaceTime, you can hang up and I will talk about something else next time. But since it's February, I'm like, oh, I do have a story that's kind of like always been haunting me. So I think it was 2018 when this first started. It's a long, like, here, I'm gonna get a sweater because I'm kind of cold. So 2018, right? I'm working in this warehouse and I finally got comfortable here. The manager, we have meetings every day. I'm night shift, so the manager at my shift says, oh guys, the other shift, the evening one, needs help. So if some of you can go there and help them out, that would be cool. Obviously you'll get paid for it. And I'm like, I kind of want to see how it is on that shift. And I noticed that two of my coworkers that I worked in my same station, because there was a bunch of stations, they signed up for it. So I'm like, hey, I won't go alone. So we signed up for it and we go that day. And see, the thing is, it's like we worked at 2 a.m. till 7. And this shift was at 4. So if you're doing this shift, it pretty much screws up your sleeping. But my sleeping was already screwed up, so it's not like it mattered too much, but it still sucked because it gets to the point where like you're a zombie. But anyway, so we go, right, and we're all kind of tired, but whatever. And I'm like, the thing about anxiety, it gives you a lot of energy, so I'm like, I'm gonna freaking work my anxiety out of me. And show up, we're led all around the place trying to figure out where to go. Finally, we're told to go with this guy named Ranger. That's not his name, by the way. I nicknamed him that. And right away, the second I see him, he places us different spots. He's a very beautiful person. Like, you can't describe him as hot. That would be disrespectful. He's beautiful. And if you think he's not, you're crazy. That's how beautiful he was. And he's very clean. Like, do you even work here? Like, what are you even doing? Because his hands are always clean, you know, like everything's like very put together. And he was very positive, very energetic. It almost like annoyed me a little bit because it's like, where are you getting all this energy? So he puts me in the spot, tells me what to do, and it turns out that shift is really easy. Nothing like ours. And so it's like kind of easy money. You're still lifting and it still sucks and it's still dangerous, but like a lot of thought isn't into what you're doing. You're just like mindlessly working. So I end up coming in more because they're okay with that and I want to put more hours. And by the way, I didn't feel anything towards him. I didn't feel like a spark at all. No chemistry. He was just very positive. And the thing about management, when they're good managers or they're, you know, like managers that you look forward to seeing or aren't toxic, it becomes addicting to work. And managers should realize that, but a lot of them don't. So I start picking up more shifts, and at the time, my usual shift had a very toxic manager who I really couldn't be around with, and she didn't pick on me. She really didn't like my guts, and I'm a people pleaser, so no matter what I tried, she hated me more. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go to this shift, and at least, you know, Ranger appreciated me. Like I think I gained some sort of respect with him, not just him in general, but everybody around there that saw me in both shifts. They're like, oh, you just live here now. And I would come there a lot. I started to kind of fit in with everybody. And I was very quiet this time, by the way. Like, I was really, really quiet. I wouldn't talk to anybody ever. And I would go to the meeting, and Ranger would be the leader of this meeting. Like, he would tell us what to expect, what to do, whatever. And he was very confident. I remember seeing him, like, he was so happy, so confident, his smile. And I'm just like, how are you so happy? Like, I don't get it. I remember I grew very jealous of him, because it's like, I want to be like that. Like, why can't I be that happy with life, you know? Like, I wanted to know his secret, because it's like, I struggled to be happy, like, to be content with where I was always, no matter what. So he kind of reminded me of a Power Ranger, okay? And that's why I named him Ranger, because he was very optimistic and happy and just like childlike, and not in a mean way. Like, it was almost like he had the innocence where he didn't realize how shitty life really is, or maybe we just weren't seeing things the way he was, and I wanted to. So yeah, I come in a lot. It becomes more common to see me there. And I remember, like, I made my first serious friend there. And by serious, it's like I had this lady in my shift that would kind of look after me. Like, she would tell people she doesn't talk, leave her alone. And I really appreciated that. But she didn't, like, see me as a real friend. Like, we wouldn't meet up after work and do anything. You know what I mean? But this new friend, we're going to call him Lou. I don't know why, but we're going to call him Lou. He really did consider me a real friend. We would actually hang out after work. We'd go out to eat, and he kind of like helped me connect with everybody else because he was really friendly. And I think we connected and became really good friends because we were both bilingual. So it's like, the thing about being bilingual is, like, for me at least, and him, your intelligence is split into two languages. So you're not fully smart in just one language, and people think you're automatically an idiot because it's like, you have to go through this weird thing where it's like you're both, but you're neither. So if I went to Mexico, I would be dumb. But if I'm here, I'm dumb too. It's, where do I go to be in between? You know what I mean? And he was like that too. So he started teaching me Russian. He wasn't Spanish. And he never really cared about Spanish, but I don't care. I'm very comfortable with making people talk about themselves and kind of understanding them in person. So he would teach me Russian, and I actually learned a lot. It was weird, but we would always like want to work together, and Ranger would always separate us because we were just goofing off, or so it looked like, you know. And he would do this often, like almost every time I came there. And I remember one time he split us up, and I made my way back to Lou, and then he split us up again. And I don't think he noticed that, but it's like he split us up again, and then Lou made his way to me, and he split us up again. And I was so annoyed because I'm like, damn it, like, let me just, the one time I have a friend, and like I can't even work with them. It was so annoying. So I was getting kind of like bitter about it, and I'm walking away because he's like, go to station, blah blah blah, right? And I'm kind of annoyed. I'm walking away like, wow. And he like meets me out there, like, and was looking at me and smiling. So it's kind of hard to be mad at him. He didn't realize that, oh, man, I really, like, I work better with people I'm comfortable with. And he's smiling, and then he says, I remember when I used to be quiet too. And that's when, I don't know, it's just like that, the way he said that, because a lot of people would say, like, why are you quiet? Why are you quiet? You know, like, it was such a bad thing, and it's hard to not be yourself. You know what I mean? So when somebody questions who you are, instead of helping you out, it feels weird, but it's like he was the first person that said, like, I remember I used to be like that too. So it gave me hope that one day I could probably be as confident as he is, or as positive as he is. And I automatically, like, when he said that, all my anger went away. Like, it just dissolved or whatever. And then a lot of like curiosity grew and in its place. And I told him, because he kind of, like, there was a long silence, so it felt like I had to say something. So I finally, like, told him, you remind me a lot of a Power Ranger. He didn't get offended. In fact, I think he was okay with that. Ow, my back is killing me again, guys. I'm too old to sit like this. So he didn't get offended. He was actually, like, he seemed to be okay with that. And the thing is, it's like, I don't think I told him why he reminded me of a Power Ranger, but I really looked up to Power Rangers when I was a kid. They helped me learn English in a lot of ways because I would watch them. I was obsessed and I would crush on them all the time, and I just wanted to be one so badly when I grew up. And for me to meet someone that was that, it was just like, that's crazy. Like, my childhood me is so happy. And he really was one. Like, it just felt so, like, he was, like, literally one. Like, he acted like one and he was one. He was so positive. I remember this one time I come in and everybody was getting along really well. And especially me, and I'm very uncomfortable with people. So it's like, I don't know, it felt so weird, like a movie almost, because like everybody was getting, why is there chocolate on my floor? Or is it something else? I'm just kidding. Okay, so he comes up to me. We start talking about how other people could be characters, right? And he's like, we should start naming all of them, like the characters. And you know, it's weird, like he would talk in a way where like, almost like I know you, like I've known you all my life, it felt like, but maybe it was just me. Like, it just felt so weird, and I would go quiet a lot of the times, so I just wanted him to keep talking because it just felt like he seemed so familiar. Like, I don't know how to explain it. He used words I used. He had problems with things I did too. It was weird. I don't know how to explain it. And then so he started telling me like we should name other characters. Like, everybody, kind of categorize everybody there in the warehouse as characters. This kid came over, this random kid, and was asking him what to do next. And he's like, hey, let's put him in, like, what character is he? And I didn't know. He kind of reminds me of, not Scooby, but Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah. He did. Like, he really did. And the kid smiled and kind of laughed it off, and he was sent wherever he had to go. And then he said, who are you? And I'm like, I don't know, I can't really like put myself in a spot that's like cheating. So he's like, you kind of remind me of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And I was just like, wow. Because like in high school, a lot of people made fun of me and said, you're probably one of those witches and blah blah blah. But the thing is, it's like, I never watched Sabrina the Teenage Witch like at all growing up, ever. Like, I never watched her, but I know how she looks like because my mom talked about it. Like, I think she watched it. Weird, it makes no sense. But I knew how she looked like, and she's blonde, and she's a white girl. So I got offended. I'm just like, does he think I'm a white girl? No offense to white girls, like, I'm just not a white girl. Like, that's not me. Like, you're missing, like, I don't know, it's just, I'm not white, and let alone blonde, you know? And then this is a part that weirded me out. He says, I used to have the biggest crush on her. And I'm just like, you can't just say that, you know? Like, what are you doing? You can't, like, you're gonna make me like you, and I don't want to do that. Because, again, I was in a relationship at the time with someone that didn't love me, so that's fun. But I knew he was out of my league in every way, so it's like, can you not make me simp over you, please? But I couldn't let that go. So I kind of just ignored that he said that, but I held on to it. So time passes, I come back, and this was the annoying part. I swear, this kind of made everything like go to shit. So I go into this day, and I shouldn't have came that day, but whatever. I was placed with this coworker, and I'm gonna say his name because like he was so insignificant and no one remembers. His name was Jay, and he would always make a comment about how I look like, and it pissed me off because it's like I wasn't confident with the way I look like, especially. And for him to like say stuff about how I looked was annoying. So I was working with him. I always got stuck working with the people I didn't get along with, I swear, and nobody would split us up. But the second I was with Lou or somebody that's my friend, I was split up. So I'm working with Jay, and we're not getting along. We got into a fight, not like an actual fight, like an argument, and he walked away, and I start finishing the van. And the thing about the van is like you have to get, in this shift, you have to get all the boxes out. But we use to this treadmill thing. I don't know what it's called, but it's like a giant treadmill that pushes them out. So you have to put them all on that. And we use these things called rollers, right? The rollers would be like, it's like a weird, like, it's just rollers, okay? Like, I don't know how to explain it. A bunch of little wheel thingies, like metal wheels that would push the boxes onto the big treadmill. when we had that out, and I was using that or whatever when Jay walked away. So when you're done, you're supposed to lift these rollers and put them up. Like, they're down like this, and you push them up like this, and so first you stack them like that, like they're stackable, and then you lift it. But they're very heavy because they're metal. So I'm like, oh, I kind of need help lifting them. And the thing is, they wouldn't push down all the way. So I'm like, oh, I guess this one doesn't do that. Stupid girl. If I could go back, I would have not lifted that shit. But anyways, so I thought I stacked it all the way, like that's all it went. And I'm like, oh, I have to lift, and it's really heavy, and I'm really tired. So I'm just like, oh, I don't know how to do. I'm like, oh, I can't ask Jay for help because we just got into a fight, and I can do it alone. I've done this before alone. So I lift it, right, alone, and I did it. I lifted up, but the thing is, it was not pushed down all the way, and it all came down like, because it was up, so it's like heavier now, and it all came down, and it came down on my fingers, but I pushed them out fast enough, or so I thought, right? And I walk away, and I'm just like, I'm fine. Nothing happened. I did it. I'm good. I felt something tingling in my hand, and no, it was not my spidey senses. It literally felt like something like was crawling, like a bunch of little needles, and I was like, what's going on? And I looked over my hand. My thumb is bleeding. I'm like, shit, my thumb, like I lost my thumb. Like that's the first thought I had, because it was covered in blood, and I'm looking for my thumb, like, oh my god, I have to find it so they can put it back. It's nowhere to be seen. But I look again, and it's still there. It's just like it's just like a big hole on it. So I broke my thumb. So I smashed my thumb. See, I'm always smashing my fingers. It's freaking stupid. And the thing about smashing your fingers is, like, I went to the doctor for that one, and they tell you there the bones are so small and hard to kind of put back. So it's kind of like you're screwed. But yeah, I smashed my finger, and I'm not going to tell the whole story about like breaking my finger. Basically, the first thought I had, I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm not going to tell anybody about this because this is embarrassing. My dad would be so disappointed in me, because my dad never, like, he didn't like that we would cry about stuff, and like, I don't know, it was just an embarrassment. It was an embarrassing thing to get hurt, especially when you're working. So I'm like, I'm just going to hide it like I usually do. And the thing is, I always smash my left finger, like, always. Constantly getting it caught on things, but it was never this bad. So I'm like, I'm just gonna hide it like you usually do. Everything's fine. You think denial works, but then when it doesn't, it like, oh shit, now what am I gonna do? So I'm walking away. I like cleaned up the blood with my knee and foot, like just like being disgusting. And I walk away. But I lost my hearing on my right ear. Like, it's just constant ringing. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't hear anything from this side. What's going on? And I'm just getting really dizzy and nauseous, and I'm just like, I'm going to throw up and faint. And like, I have to do something. I have to say something. And my finger would not stop bleeding. Like, it was a lot. It was pulsating blood, right? So the next thing I want to do is, like, I have to tell someone so they can help me, because it feels really bad. So I say, I have to tell Ranger. Like, he won't get mad at me. He won't get disappointed. So when Ranger found out, you know, everybody saw me. And everybody was horrified. I remember my friend Lou, like, I lost respect for him because he was so disgusted by it. He could not even stand to look at me. But Ranger was very helpful. I didn't see him cringe at me, not once. He always kept his smile on, and he stayed with me. He gave me pills, which was originally, I feel like it saved me, because holy shit, that feeling was so annoying. Like, I wanted to cry because of how dizzy I felt and how much I wanted to throw up. It didn't even hurt because I lost sensation. So thanks to those pills, that helped me a lot. And then the manager that I had a problem with in another video, venting about my second job, the higher one, him, freaking asshole, he was very uncomfortable, and he wrapped my finger, but really shitty, because he didn't want to hurt me, which is fine, but it's like he was scared that I would sue the place or whatever. So he left after wrapping my finger all shitty, and I got up from the break room because they had me sitting there for a while. I got up and I told Ranger, like, okay, I'm done. And he's like, oh, you're done? Like, that's it? Yeah, like, I'm ready to go back to work. Because I'm really embarrassed to be, like, to show any kind of emotion in front of guys. Because, like, I don't know, I feel like they're gonna right away be like, oh, see, big baby, you know? Like, oh, of course a girl's crying type of thing. So I'm like, I'm just gonna pretend I'm fine. And we walked back out, and he was like, oh, here, wait, before you go back to work, let's rewrap your finger because he didn't do a good job. It's like, how would you know? Like, how are you noticing this stuff? So he put on gloves, and he was just like, I'll be the doctor today, and he was just rewrapping it. And the thing is, like, he did such a good job wrapping it. It's like he did it securely, and it didn't hurt me. And when I went to a hand specialist, he didn't even do it that well. So that was weird. How, like, he knew. I don't know. And again, I didn't have feelings for him. I just knew he was a good person, and, like, I needed to have people like him in my life, you know? I wasn't jealous of him anymore. It was more of, like, I looked up to him so much, and it's like I didn't want him to know that because it just, I don't know, it felt weird. But it's like I really did value him, and I knew then, like, even more than before, that I needed to have him in my life, like, even if it was just as a manager, you know? It's like, you're so positive, and even in this situation, I want you to be here. It's like I could absorb his strength type of thing. Sorry. I'm getting all teary-eyed, damn it. So I go back to work, and I think I told him I wanted to be the last one dismissed because I wanted everybody to see that, or I kind of wanted to show that I was fine. And I was, like, it was okay. But I was really angry with myself. Like, I was just so angry with the fact that I let this happen to myself. And it's like the thing when you're a labor worker, you really depend on your body to, like, kind of, you know, work and be able to do this. So when you hurt yourself, it really slows you down, and it's just a big freaking, it's a lot of bullshit you have to deal with, because I would constantly forget. After that, I would constantly forget my finger was broken, and I would use it, and it would always hurt. So I was working, Lou came over and said bye, and, like, oh, that sucks, and I can't believe you're not going home, or whatever. But I was so annoyed with him. It's like, how could you have been so grossed out by me? I hate when people get grossed out by me, and it's like, Ranger was never grossed out by me. And I did a bunch of dumb shit, so it's like, it was weird. I remember he did this thing where it's like, if I showed up, he would sing my name from a different station with, like, the happiest face, and it's like, no one's ever been that happy to see me, and, like, I never really believed it until he did it. And it was just like, whatever you're doing, you need to calm down. So yeah, he would sing my name, and he would high five me when I did, like, when I was doing a good job at work. And my love language is physical touch. So it's like, because I was so dirty all the time, like, from working, that I remember he one day I was really, really dirty. Like, my hands were disgusting, and he was always so clean. It's like, what are you doing? Like, how do you manage not to be, like, dirty here? And he's like, high five. I'm like, oh, my hands are dirty. And he's like, I don't care. And I'm just like, what? Everybody's grossed out by me. Why are you not? And not, like, he never cringed at it. It was so weird. So I stopped going in for a while because I had orders not to, you know, lift anything more than 5 pounds from my broken finger hand. And so I was going to be useless anyway, so I stopped showing up, and I was kind of embarrassed too. I do come back in after a while. He starts motivating me to go to school and, like, do something more with my life. And the thing is, it's like, I don't know, nobody really cares to motivate me and stuff, so it's like, it was weird. He believed in me more than anybody in my life did, and, like, he believed in me before I could believe in myself, you know? And it's hard to find people like that believe in you, and it really affected me. It got to the point where, like, I became addicted to how I felt about myself when he was around. Like, I hated myself so much less if he was there. So I would come in to just, every time I would be around him, just, like, a few minutes or seconds of just being near him, I'd get a hit of motivation and, like, believing in myself. And so he didn't even have to say anything anymore. I just felt happy around him, and I knew that I needed to find people like him, because we would have been different people if we, all of us, if we had a ranger in our life believing in us, you know? So he motivates me to go back to school, and I eventually do it, because it's like, I don't know, I've never had that before. Like, he really made me think I could. And I go back to school. I start double shifting again. And I remember I showed up again, and he's saying, hey, like, let me catch you up. Because I would show up late to the shift, but he didn't care. So he's like, oh, let me catch you up. Let me tell you the safety message of the day. And he said sometimes it was like, oh, be careful where you're walking, you know, stuff like that. But this time he was like, oh, be careful with the rollers, which was the thing that broke my thumb. And I'm like, oh, yeah. It was always embarrassing when people told me that. But he said that, he's like, yeah, because someone, like, really important to me, you know, got hurt on those again. And I was just like, again? Oh, my gosh. Like, I thought they'd fix it after what happened to me. And he says, it was you that I'm talking about. And I'm just like, dude, like, great. And that was just like, after that, I completely stopped denying the fact that I really did have a crush on him. Because it's like, why would you say that? And again, I'm still in a relationship, so I don't really say anything of it, but it's just like, I held on to the words he said, because it's like, I've never had somebody where how they treat me and what they say is good for me. You know what I mean? Like, it's healthy. Like, I don't know. He was the type of person, like, I was always in a relation with people I had to build up, and they would never build me up. They would tear me down. With him, it's like, you were building me up, and we weren't even in a relationship. Like, you were building me up emotionally, mentally, and even physically, because it all comes in, you know, it's so weird. So it's like, I didn't know what to think, and I never felt butterflies. That's a thing. It's like, I was so confused. I never felt butterflies. I never felt nervous around him. I felt so secure. Like, I could tell him anything. I don't know. And again, like, I knew him from before, but I didn't. So we start talking about something else. We changed the subject, and I didn't think anything of that. I mean, I did, but I wasn't about to say it. So I stopped showing up because I dropped out of school because it was too much for me, and I hated the program I was in. And I didn't have the guts to tell him that I dropped out, because in my shift, when I told the people I was working with that I dropped out, they were very disappointed in me, and they made it a big deal, and it's like, I can't believe you do that. But it's like, no one ever cared to understand, like, how did she feel to have to drop out? You know what I mean? When somebody gives up on something, you don't tell them, how could you give up? You say, are you okay? You know what I mean? So I'm like, I could barely handle it from my shift, like the people I work with. I could not handle this if Ranger was disappointed in me. So I stopped showing up because of that. And time passes, he shows up to my shift, which was weird, and he looked so tired. And I thought I was hallucinating, because it's like, I looked over to the station across from me, and he's right there. I'm like, there's no way he's here. I'm just imagining him, because, like, I liked him, you know, I really did. Like, I looked up to him, and it's just, I don't know, it was so weird, because it wasn't, like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. So I noticed he was real, because he smiles and he sings my name again, and I'm just like, oh, it really is him. He comes over to my area, and he's walking over to me, and I say, I thought I'd never see you again, because I really did think that. And he said, we will always see each other again. And I was just like, what the heck? Why would you say that? So I remember, I feel like people around us heard that, and they were just like, okay. I wonder what they thought. So he comes over, and then we start talking, and he tells me that he dropped out. And I say, I dropped out too. Like, doesn't that mean we're dropouts? And he's like, no. And he reassured me, we're not failures, and you're only considered a dropout if you dropped out of high school, not college. I don't know. It just felt like after that I could breathe easier, because if Ranger couldn't do it, you know, and it doesn't mean you're a failure. It put me at ease, and it made me feel better about, you know, what I couldn't have done, what I couldn't do. And I don't know, maybe that's why he had to be in my life, And maybe that was the purpose of that, to make me believe in myself more. So we talked for a little bit, and every time we would talk to each other, I swear we never had enough time. It was never enough time to talk. But he would always tell me like weird information about himself, and I always wanted to know more. Like, I remember thinking like, give me, like, quick, tell me more about yourself, but I never said that because that's weird. And he told me his middle name, and I knew, like, I don't know, he would always like test me on his name, like, do you remember my real name? I mean, like, dude, I would never forget your real name. And he told me his middle name, and I'm like, I know he's gonna test me on his middle name. And he left, and then to go do whatever he was doing there, and then finally I'm dismissed, and I'm walking out, and I see him again, and we start talking again, and he says, so what are we doing this summer? And I told him, like, oh, my brother's graduating from college, he's gonna have a party, and I didn't invite him. Like, oh my gosh, I should have invited him. I doubt he'd want to go, but it's like I should have invited him anyways, because it's like we could have still been friends even though I was in a relationship, and besides, I was not good enough for him, and I knew that, you know. I think he knew that too, but it's like, I don't know. I didn't invite him. I should have. I wasn't thinking. I was just so weirded out that he was there and I would see him again. But that was the last time I'd see him in person. So I left that day. If I would have known that was the last time, I would have invited him, obviously. Like, even if it wasn't the last time, I would have invited him. So days pass, I don't see him anymore, and I lose my shit at my shift. Like, I got really angry because this kid was reporting me constantly, and they were trying to move me from my area. I got mad and I walked out, and I was leaving. I told him, like, I'm leaving then, and the manager there was like, you know, if you walk out right now, you can't come back. I'm like, I'm not coming back, and I leave. And I don't know, it just, at the end, nobody really valued me, and nobody really cared, and it just sucked, and I wasn't thinking. Like, I should have gone to his shift, but I wasn't thinking. I was just so angry. Days pass, months, and I try to get a hold of him on Facebook, because, I don't know, it's just, I wanted to ask him if I could go to his shift. And the thing is, like, it was really hard to get it, like, back into this work area. Like, nobody would contact me back and stuff. So he abandoned his Facebook. And then I remember thinking maybe he has an Instagram. And I look, and it's more recent. So I contact him on Instagram. And I asked him, like, I was like, hey, Ranger, like, are you still at the warehouse? And he said, yes, are you? And I said, no. And we talked a little bit, but the thing is like, he was very professional, too professional, where it's like, I thought we were at least bare minimum friends. And that kind of made me a little bit sad, because it's like, I thought, like, I was your friend at least, you know, but I guess not. And he told me I should go back to work there. A few months passed, and I went back in his shift. The thing is, it's like, I really wanted, like, a hit of his energy, if that makes sense, because I absorb other people's energy, and I needed another hit of his positivity. I wanted to feel happy again. And it's like, maybe that's not fair to people, but it's not like I'm stealing. It's not like you feel less happy or less sad if I'm there with you feeling it, if that makes sense. But I just wanted to get high off of his energy, because he was such a happy, positive person, and I really needed to believe in myself again. But when I went back, he wasn't there anymore. Nobody was there anymore. Everybody just left, and there was new people. And one of the managers there told me that he had transferred to a different area, which was farther. I don't even know. So eventually I just left again. And this year I messaged him again, and the intention was to finally tell him how I felt. But see, years had passed already. It was way too late. But I guess to form some sort of closure through all of this, I wanted to finally just tell him how I felt and let it be, just whatever. But it never even got that far, because when I told him that I did go back, but I left because he was no longer there, he didn't want to respond. So he just left it there, and I guess he just felt uncomfortable with that. And he never saw me in that way. But it's just like, I don't know, a part of me feels like you waited too long or you saw too much into things, which is very likely. But I've never met somebody that was so much like me in the best way possible. Like, he is the best version of like me I could ever dream of being, because he was so confident, so happy, and you know, energetic. And it's like he wants to live. He's so full of life, and it's like with me, every year that passes, I'm struggling to know the point of this, basically. I don't know. So yeah, that was where it ended. And I'm telling you guys a story because it's like, I told my sister's friend about it, and she's like, oh my gosh, you have to find him. Like, a lot of people don't meet people like this that make you feel this way. But I'm like, no, like, if people don't, I learned this with my first boyfriend. It's like, if people don't care about you, don't care more, just let it go. You know, you have to find somebody that really does care about you. Even though he was such an inspiration and motivated me so much, it does not mean I was meant to be by his side, type of thing. So yeah, that's my story. Super embarrassing. But you guys don't know who he is, and he doesn't know about this channel. That would be so embarrassing. But yeah, he doesn't know about this channel. No, nobody really close to me knows about it, because it's like, who cares? So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think this was an obsession of mine? It was all in my head? Or do you guys really think this was some sort of soulmate? You know, like, please let me know. And if you found your soulmate, you are even more certified to tell me what you think in the comments. So yeah, that's the story. I don't really know what story time to tell next, because it's like, I'm kind of out of love stories. This isn't really even like super romantic love story, but it was just, I don't know, I've never felt that way about somebody, where it's like, they made me like myself, like they made me care about myself more and appreciate myself. Everybody I've always been with made me hate myself so much. It was weird. I don't know, but yeah, maybe in another life, but I guess not this one. Thanks for listening if you stayed this long. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.